basically, every week we're bringing subject matter experts in to discuss whatever topic, whether it's investigations, patrol, sexual assault. So you're hearing from the officers and officials who actually do that job. They come off the road, they come in to teach. They're the ones that are doing it on a day-to-day basis. It's not one instructor going through the whole thing. You're going to be speaking to the people who are actually doing the job. With that, I kind of like to just basically kind of give an overview of the department, understanding that you're going to be delving into each of these subjects as we go on. But I think it helps if you understand basically how very preliminary purpose, how everything fits into everything. So just kind of going over the goals and objectives that we are held accountable to in the budget. On a yearly budget, we pick our goals and objectives at the end of the year. We're evaluating that by the city council. And just kind of, these are taken right out of the budget if you want to go and look, but basically to meet community members where they live and work. We want to establish a vibrant, thriving community. We always want to engage with the community about quality of life issues. What's important, not necessarily to us, but what's important to you in the neighborhoods. Because sometimes what we think is important might not be what you think is important. And what has to drive our actions is what you want us to do. Recruit, promote diverse WPD staff that reflects our community. Provide support and education to officers for career pipelines. So we bring young officers in, they have a defined career pipeline, we give them the training and the resources they need to succeed, whether they stay in their position or they get promoted. Implement major new technology initiatives. The chief has brought in a lot of different technologies, which I'm sure he'll talk to in a little bit. And we're also, we have a pretty robust records management system that basically drives everything we do, what communication does. It's a very old system. We're working on replacing that. It's a very complicated and expensive project that we've been working on for quite a while. Just if anybody's interested in budgets, fairly large organization, got about $55 million budget. That's broken up in all different things. Again, this is all within the budget document. I'll give you that information. If you have, if you're into that type of thing, you can look into it. So just kind of breaking down the department real quickly, it's basically into four different divisions. Support services, which is W. McGinn. A patrol division, which is when you call 911, the officer responds. There's investigations. And there's my end, the administration. And like I said, I oversee training, which is a huge thing. Details, crime analysis, records bureau. When you request a police report, that comes from record bureaus, that comes from me. Ed, you want to speak to your responsibilities?
Yeah, sure. Okay, again, my name's Ed McCann, and I run what's called support services, which arguably is the most important division within the police department. They'll tell you otherwise, but essentially, what I have 5 or 6 different divisions that report to me. Kind of a gerrymandered thing. It's not totally consistent, but for those of you with outstanding eyesight, you can read that one. But I'll bring it to you what it is. The service division is the largest part, and that is the office when you come in the building on the left-hand side of the window. That's the service division, and then all the cell room beneath the on the very bottom. And you'll get a tour of that at some point during the course of this, be able to check out our cell room and our booking facilities and our transportation facilities. And we run 3 shifts, roughly 15 officers per shift, and 2 or 3 police supervisors working on each of those 3 shifts. Very, very important in that when we take custody of a person, it like becomes your kid. That individual becomes your kid. So if that kid needs to go to the hospital, even though they don't want to go to the hospital, we're going to bring them to the hospital. If that person's sick, and quite often the people we deal with are drug sick, we got to bring them to the hospital. On long weekends and holiday weekends, we're actually bringing them to methadone clinics to go get their drink of methadone in the morning, so they don't climb the walls and get sick while in our custody. And most of the people we arrest are decent people. It happens. Stuff happens in life, and most of them are decent people. And but it's under bad conditions. You don't know what happens inside somebody's household, where they have some type of domestic dispute or whatever the case is. We try to treat them as civilly as humanly possible. A lot of people we deal with are intoxicated, whether it be on drugs, whether on alcohol. That happens. So sometimes we have to treat them like 4-year-olds. We bring them up, we bring them into the station, and if they want to fight, what do we do with them? We put them on timeout, and we sit them back into the tank, and there they wait for 1 hour until we can book them again. And you cannot be released on bail or be brought to court unless you're booked. So that's our argument, is, goes, well, now you gotta sit an hour. And after about the second or third go-round of an hour, I said, okay, I'll be nice. And, luckily, hopefully by then, they're a little bit more sober and say things a little bit more clearly. And I know Ms. Bowman is smiling over that, because she's done that dance with us downstairs. Just by way of arrests, just kind of an intriguing fact, think back to 2018, just, not that long ago, 5-6 years ago, we had 5,357 bookings. In 2022, we had half that, 2,597. So what happened? Why do we arrest so few people these days? A couple different things. COVID killed the arrest business. We arrested just about nobody during the course of COVID. We didn't really want them here, and if we could go to Plan B, C, or D, we did. And since then, some juvenile laws have changed, and since then, we just embarked on a new paradigm that says, well, going back to what's the definition of insanity, arresting everybody in sight for anything you can, when it's still not making any headway. So we've invested in in other programs, alternative programs, like mental health treatment, diversion program here, wherever we can. So we arrest about half what we did 5-6 years ago, and I think that's a good thing. And we do far less juveniles. Another unit under my command is the traffic enforcement and reconstruction. Now, that's broken in it's broken in 5 or 6 different subsections. Traffic enforcement is the people running radar. And the objective of that is to foster safety and to educate people. So when they pull over a car, generally speaking, it's only half the time that person will end up with a citation. Well, why is that? Well, we look into their record and see if they've been given a warning in the past. And everybody generally gets a bite of the apple unless it's real egregious stuff. The first time out you don't have a bad driving record, chances are you're gonna get a verbal or written warning and be on your way. Second or third time, it gets a bit ridiculous, so you might be at a citation at that point. And the biggest complaint coming into the police station is people speeding in neighborhoods. So that's why you'll see a speed monitor go up in the various sections of the city. Also, a part of that unit is the traffic reconstruction, and they investigate fatal and near-fatal accidents. We usually have about between 25 and 30 a year fatal accidents, quite a bit of pedestrian accidents. It seems people just walk right up to the middle of the road now, they get their earbuds in and go right in and walk in front of a car, and they wonder why they got hit by that car coming down the street. So we investigate those, we investigate boating accidents, bicycle accidents, that sort of thing. Also, that is part of that is the commercial truck team. The big rigs coming through the city. So we did the commercial truck team. As you've probably seen, Worcester got a number of low bridges, and every single week a truck manages to crash right into it. They also have the hit and run unit. Also under my command is the court liaison unit, which is situated over at the courthouse. They take care of all the processing of all our arrests and discovery and record keeping and that sort of thing. And there's 4 or 5 officers over there. And then the garage, we have our own garage here. At one point we had 3 mechanics, now we're down to 1. And, we're looking for mechanics if anybody knows a mechanic. We also have our crew that clean this building and keep it maintained. I think that's about it. Did I miss it? Oh, and the staff who does the budget in the chief's office staff is under my command as well. And we will talk further later on in your programming. But again, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The investigative unit, the chief had just come from investigative unit, so I'll have him talk a little bit about what their responsibilities are.
So the Worcester Police Department is one of 3 agencies in the state that can actually investigate our own homicides. Everyone else, they have to bring in the state police to do it. So with that, we have a detective bureau. See, we have 42 detectives in there. Our forensic services, they are a certified, accredited, we basically have scientists that work in there. Most of it's civilian with, unbelievable degrees who actually do the science part, and you guys will get a taste of that. And it's very interesting, from lifting prints to DNA to, we get a gun at a crime scene, how that gets processed. And they do an outstanding job, and we've made a lot of cases and arrests of bad people based on that forensic stuff. And I know all you guys probably watch the TV shows, but that's not how it works, right? CSI and all those things. We don't solve crime in 24 hours usually, or I mean in 1 hour. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and when you think about it, you could have a case that you make an arrest today and you may not go to court for several years. Like homicides, it could be 5, 6 years. Now you go to court, now you have to testify to what you did 5 years ago. So record keeping, report writing is instrumental. And same with the latent print unit. We have all different procedures up there where, you know, they can take a print, you just touch something, and they'll be able to take that print and match it up with you. Our gang unit, we used to do a lot more suppression. Now they're more of a community policing unit. One example, in the summer, we'll do a gang camp where first 3 weeks of July, we have 100 kids from 8 to 15 that we take and we create a camp with them. We'll take them to the zoo. And if, that's an experience in itself. Bring 100 kids to the zoo and come back and tell me how you're feeling after that. So we do that for 3 weeks. Zoo, sports programs where professional athletes come in, and we try to mentor these kids. And it's funny because later on, you know, you could be with this kid at a pool, taking them swimming, and that night you could be at their house, right, on a call. So it's that type of relationship that we try to make with the gang unit. We also have another program in there, and it's for offenders coming out of jail. And we'll go talk to them, and we give them, it's called final notice. So when they're coming out, if they need, you know, there's a lot of things that deal with that, and if you don't have a driver's license, mass health, all those things, and you're getting out of prison, you're probably not gonna do too well if you have nowhere to go. So we go up to the jail and we meet these prisoners and we tell them we can help them. We've helped people get jobs, licenses, mass IDs, mass health, anything we could do. We do not want this person coming back into the system. That's half the battle. And Vice, we do drug investigations. As you all know, the opioid crisis is huge, and fentanyl and all that stuff, and that's an investigative division where we actually make cases out of information we receive. We have a text-to-tip program, and all the time we'll get information. It could be, you're my girlfriend and I broke up with you and I'm a drug dealer. Well, now you pick up the phone, you do a little text-to-tip, my boyfriend's dealing drugs. Then we go in and we investigate that and end up getting a search warrant, and we'll go to the house and we try to rid the neighborhood of the drugs. And alcohol, same thing, we go out to the bars, make sure that they're not over-serving, serving underage people, and just making sure they're in compliance with licensing. And all these jobs, all police jobs are dangerous, but when you're hitting a door with a battering ram and going in on the other side, and you don't know what's there, it's very scary. So the whole concept of becoming a police officer, if you people that want to do that, is number one, get in shape if you're gonna come in on this job. All right? We're looking for certain people that are gonna be professional, and we have standards. If you don't meet those standards, you're not gonna make it. We only want the best, because doing this work, not only physically, but mentally, it takes a lot out of you. So we also have support services, and if you see up here, stress coordinator. They report directly to me. So whenever our officers are involved in a bad incident, you could go from a car wreck with a child who was killed to helping an elderly person cross the street. Those two extremes have a lot of effect on a person's mind. You know, post-traumatic stress, well, that's what we're talking about. So we have professionals in here to talk to the police officers so that they don't go over the edge. And it's very, very important, and you see more of it today than, you know, Sean, what have you been on, 48 years? So when I first started, there was none of that. You went to the call, whatever it was, get back out there and answer more calls. You didn't have any of that. Now, we're seeing the difference with, we have to treat our own people as well.
Thanks, Chief. And then, like I say, operations is a major component of our department, and we'll have somebody from operations. That'll be a whole different segment that we'll go into. I will show you a map of the routes just to get a sense of how that figures in. But just in terms of complement of our thing, we have a chief, 4 deputy chiefs, 8 captains, 24 lieutenants, 59 sergeants, and ideally 352 police officers. As been mentioned, you probably hear throughout, staffing is an issue. We'll hope to begin a class of 44 because we have 44 seats in January. We don't know if we're gonna meet that number. So it takes about a year from when we get the list. The background check is like 6 months, the academy is 6 months. So it's a huge investment to running a class. It's a little disappointing when we can't fill it with suitable candidates. We still have to maintain our standards regardless of who's applying. So one thing we will not compromise is the character of the people that are coming into the department. Just so you know, I realize the quality wasn't great in this. They just snipped from the budget. If you Google budget Central City of Worcester, you'll come up with the budget. All that information that I provided is there if you want to look at it a little more in depth. I'll just pull up the map. So we, for the longest time, were basing the way we structured our patrol division on shifts. There was a day shift, a 3 to 11 shift, and 11 to 7 shift. Each shift had their own captain, and it was based on time, not necessarily geography. What we have now is a precinct system that's broken up, again, this is in that document, so broken up into 4 different precincts, depending on which side of the city. Each precinct has a captain that's responsible for that geographic area on a 24-hour basis. So now if there's a problem in your area, you're dealing with one captain regardless of what time it happens. He's one responsibility for trying to resolve long-term the issues we have. We ideally not responding to the same house over and over and over. We're looking at the root cause of a problem and trying to attack it from that level to saves us work on us, and it's beneficial to you as well. But again, we'll have captains from operations and they'll go into that depth. You'll all have the ability, and I strongly suggest to take it to do a ride-along, to go in a car with an officer for a couple hours. Again, you hear what goes on to actually see it. So we're a data-driven department. We have a fairly robust crime analysis unit. There's 4 civilian analysts, very talented. We meet once a week on Thursday as a command staff to go over what's going on that week. Short-term, also long-term trends. This is our stats as of October 23. Redder is not better. You know, there's been uptick violence nationwide, and we're not immune to that. But that's something we look at. We try to compare it against a 5-year average, so we're not driven too much by spikes that may or may not be representative of a larger program. So we look at year-to-date stats, and we compare that also with a 5-year average to try to get understanding long-term of the crime situation in the city. So that's about it.
My name is Elise Miranda. I am a sergeant here at the Worcester Police Department. I'm in my 19th year of service here at the Worcester Police Department, and this is my colleague, Sergeant Chris George.
Hi, I'm Chris George, going into my 30th year with the Worcester Police Department. I grew up with the now chief, so I can say nothing bad about him. Yeah, but I'm glad you're all here today. It was nice having you introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
You might not have expected that, but it's not easy to talk in front of people, but you all did great. So, it's nice meeting you all.
And it seems we have a representation of many, many different groups, different age groups, occupations and whatnot. So this is an informational session. If you have questions, ask questions. We will have some time at the end where you can ask as many questions as you want. Feel free. While we're moving through this PowerPoint, I know PowerPoints can get a little tedious. I'm gonna try not to read everything. Sometimes I live in fast forward. I start talking and moving and I might miss something, so feel free to slow me down if you need to. These are our email addresses right here. Feel free to take a picture of them, send us an email anytime you wanna talk. So we are the Bureau of Professional Standards, we call ourselves BOPS, also more commonly referred to as Internal Affairs, in that we are responsible for investigations on any complaints. When I say any complaints, I mean any complaints. We're gonna start rolling through this. If you have a question, like I said, give me the high sign and we'll talk about whatever you want to, okay? So a couple little movie clips we threw in here just to shake it up a little bit because it's getting kind of late at night and you probably all had a long day, so bear with me. We may not have the same sense of humor, but hopefully you'll get a kick out of it. We have a little bit of police misconduct, some stereotypical ideas of what police are like. But let's move forward and talk about it. So for the Bureau of Professional Standards, this is our organization. We have 4 police sergeants, myself, Sergeant George, 2 others, our police captain, Captain Ken Davenport. I'm not sure if any of you have met him, great guy. And we have a civilian administrative assistant, Christine, she's also awesome. She would be answering the phone if any of you were to call. We work under our policy 500. Just a couple little snippets from here. The function of the Bureau of Professional Standards is important for the maintenance of professional conduct in a law enforcement agency, and it is our function to ensure the integrity of the Worcester Police Department. This policy currently says sworn and non-sworn. As of right now, City Hall HR wants us to refer any complaints on our civilian workers to them. So that's how it goes. It does make sense because it's a little bit, they're a little different than we are. We all work in the same building. We have a lot of high ethics and expectations, but they are not sworn police officers. How can you make a complaint? This is the information part because a lot of people don't know all the ways that you can make a complaint. You can come to our lobby. Come right to our lobby, tell the person working there that you want to make a complaint. They should be handing you a form. You can fill that out, hand it right back to the person. They're gonna take that form, make sure it gets to us. You can take the form yourself, fill it out, send it snail mail. This is our address, send it to us, we're gonna get it. You may still use a fax machine. A lot of people working in the medical field, you probably use a fax machine every day. We have a fax too. You can send us a complaint via fax. Call our office, call the chief's office. If you call the chief's office, they're probably gonna send you to us. You're gonna say, okay, let me just transfer you over there. So you may as well just call us direct. Lovely Christine will answer the phone, tell her everything that you want to tell her. You may email us. I gave you our 2 email addresses at the beginning. Website, super, super important. There's an arrow because when you go to the website, this is what you're gonna see. Again, for all of you with eagle eyes in the back, worcesterma.gov, this is your city's website. A lot of information on there. If you've never been on your city's website, go to it, take a look around. A lot of information, very, very helpful. Right here. Click on departments, okay? Click on departments and that will take you to here. Look at all the different agencies that you can get in touch with through here, but you want us. We're the police, right there. Once you click on that, professional standards, if you could kindly note right next to professional standards, you see public records. We're gonna get to that a little later. But for this, you're making a complaint, professional standards, right there. This is us, okay? Click on that. Now you are in the portal and you're going to scroll down. You will get to this little blue rectangle, citizen comment, click on that. We have different languages. You can print it out or you can begin to fill it out online. I want to make note, we also like compliments too. So if you have any of those, feel free. Complaint right here and suggestions. We do get a lot of suggestions, a lot of traffic suggestions. A lot of people will use this as a portal because they want traffic enforcement, speed enforcement. Something's gone wrong on their road and they are requesting that. That's gonna get forwarded to traffic, but feel free to use it. If you have a suggestion, a complaint, we do like compliments, you can do that too. And then when you finish filling it out, that's a very lengthy form. I've snipped this down a little bit okay? But it's a very lengthy form. You can put as much or as little as you want in that, okay? You can also remain anonymous. If you see this little red thing, you have to click on that box. None of the other boxes have that. It can be anonymous, okay? You're going to click that the information is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. Why is that there? Because you're just telling us that your perception is that this is what happened, this is how it happened, this is what you think happened, okay? There's never been a time in my memory, I don't know about your memory, where we have ever used this as a false police report type thing. You're just telling us this is my perception of what happened. So that's why that's there. Wanna make sure you're not a robot, and then send it to us. And we are gonna get that, okay? Any questions so far? I know I talk and fast forward, I'm sorry. Very quick. Our primary function, again, is to assist the chief of police maintain proper order, discipline, order. We have a lot of different functions. Of course, number one is the intake and investigation of any complaints that anybody has. Members of the public, other agencies, people from within the department, and it does happen. Generally, we're gonna review all the disciplinary records of all of our officers who have filed, or who have had complaints filed against them. All 4 sergeants are responsible for a monthly sampling of body-worn camera footage. Our body-worn cameras are relatively new compared to other departments. Once a month, we get assigned body-worn camera videos. We don't pick them, we don't ask for certain ones, it is assigned. If you ever see any body-worn camera footage on the news and you look in the little corner, it probably says Axon. That's the same company that we use as well. So the company can put together a random sampling, and that gets sent out to each sergeant in the Bureau of Professional Standards. So we don't request certain ones, we don't ask for certain ones, they give it to us and we review them, okay? Monthly sampling of booking and property return videos. So I am responsible for that primarily. I do 26 videos a month of bookings and property returns. However long the booking is however long I'm watching the video for, okay? Property returns, the same thing. Just making sure that policies are followed and that there's no major issue going on there. Sergeant George is responsible for the early intervention screening system. I have more information on that later in the slides, but that's one of his roles, okay? Another part is testifying at the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, any of those hearings, the State Labor Commission hearings, for civil service process. Coordinating with the law department at City Hall, we have lawyers working on behalf of the city, and when people make requests for police reports or public records, anything that's gonna be going to court, we're gonna liaison with them and send them the stuff that we have. Policy formulation and revision, I think used to be a little bit more of a BOPS role, but currently, Chief Saucier has initiated a review committee of about 30 of us who have volunteered our time to go through the policies with a fine-tooth comb, pick out things that are not relevant anymore because it's 2023 and these policies could be from 1982. Of course, some of the newer policies, our body-worn camera policy, as you'll see, that was more recently implemented. So currently right now we have a committee that is going through each policy one by one to change it or update, okay? Any educational presentations, which here we are right now, trying to inform everyone. In-service training, if there are any issues that have come up, or just to remind everyone of our policies and how we work. We do attend as many trainings as possible. I'm actually currently signed up for a training that will begin in January for an advanced internal affairs training. And then the Human Rights Commission, our captain does liaison with the Human Rights Commission with some of their meetings if they have questions. He's very, very good at compiling stats and reports, so a very thorough individual. What gets investigated? So I took out snippets, this is a lot of words, I understand that. I took out snippets directly from our policy. It's our responsibility to initiate the investigation into any citizen's complaint which is received. Directly, it says, upon the receipt of any complaint, regardless of its nature, the commander of the Bureau of Professional Standards shall assign the matter for investigation. Now, there are some nuances to that can make it a little difficult. So sometimes we'll get verbal complaints. That's fine. Usually if someone calls with a verbal complaint, if I am getting a phone call, someone's really upset about something and telling me about it, I will normally direct the person to write it down. If I can have it in writing, it's a little bit easier for me to remember it properly and begin my investigation. Sometimes it's anonymous. Those are investigated, but as you know, if I have a random anonymous person that calls and says there's misconduct going on Main Street, it's a little more difficult to sink your teeth into exactly what's happening without any more information. So we do make a really good attempt to get to the bottom of any and all complaints that we receive. But again, if there's no opportunity to recontact the person or talk to the person again, it can make that a different level of difficulty. Anything with death, serious bodily injury, the commission of a felony, crimes, theft, bribery, corruption, domestic assault and battery, sexual harassment, discharge of firearms, excessive force involved using a weapon, complaints involving officers from more than one unit, any complaint related to an off-duty assignment at a liquor establishment or a traffic detail. First step is the preliminary administrative investigation. We're going to get that complaint and start picking it apart, dissecting it, seeing what the allegation is, what policies, so on and so forth. We could have a violation of law, federal, state, local, or our rules and regulations, policies and procedures, when there is a violation of a law. So it's important to differentiate the rules, regulations, policies versus a law. If someone's accused of a crime, then that investigation would be assigned to the division that investigates crime. If we're going to charge an officer with a crime, that investigation is going to go to our detective bureau, our vice squad, our sexual assault unit, depending on the nature of the crime. Usually we decide to charge someone with a crime after we've begun the preliminary investigation, and that would be a consultation with the chief as to whether or not we're charging an officer with a crime in some cases. Real quick, so if it's policy and procedure, not criminal, we're gonna be investigating it, the Bureau of Professional Standards. We are going to make sure there's a connection between the conduct of the officer and the rules and regulations which govern the officer's behavior. Off-duty conduct, this comes from 1975. The incident actually occurred in 1974. So the court actually set this rule with Broderick and Police Commissioner of Boston back in the 70s to say, okay, if the officer's direct performance of official acts or if an officer's fitness for duty has come into question, you're gonna be the subject of an investigation. This case is kind of an interesting case, but there were about 90 police officers back in the 70s that traveled to Rhode Island, and they stayed at a hotel. Everybody got really drunk, got naked swimming in the pool, stealing alcohol, setting off fireworks, causing a problem. Obviously the hotel complained. People said, what right do you have to investigate us? Well, the court said, we sure can, and please do so. Please investigate. So there's the idea if you have an officer that's breaking laws, they're probably not fit for duty, so we're gonna investigate. This is where your question comes into play. When you're talking about being charged with a crime, we're gonna be also looking at the Garrity rights and the Carney rights. So these can be a little bit confusing, so if I get you all mixed up, raise your hand, let me know that I've confused you. But all public employees, including police officers, have Garrity rights and Carney rights. Under Garrity, in all 50 states of the United States, they're afforded protections known as the Garrity rights, which means As an administrator, I can say to my officer, I am compelling you, I'm directing you to come in, you have to come in, you have to answer questions about this incident, you have to answer them truthfully. I can do that. However, if there is a crime that they have been accused of, and I do that while the criminal investigation is going on, I say, aha, guess what? You were accused of a crime, come in, sit down, you have to answer all these questions truthfully. Everything that that officer says in our interview cannot go to court. That's what Garrity says, okay? Does everyone understand Garrity? Not whether Garrity makes sense or not, but that's the Garrity rule. So, for example, if I had an officer accused of a domestic assault and battery, okay? We'll go a stereotypical, a male police officer with his female wife, accused of an assault and battery. I bring him in, I sit him down, and I say, you have to tell me everything that went on. Did you do this? Did you do that? He admits to everything. Yep, that's what I did all that stuff. I can't send that to court. Lawyers can't call and get it. It's not part of discovery. They can't have it, okay? So we wouldn't want to do that, right? We wouldn't want to jeopardize having them say everything here and then having it go to court and then possible perjury, okay? Because then perjury is going to be a whole new investigation. So occasionally, most times, you're going to want the criminal trial to play out, then you're going to go in the administrative. Does that make sense, that avenue? Kearney's a little different. You've never seen this come into play, I'm assuming. Kearney, I have a couple little red words put in here because this is an immunity that you need to have every district attorney in the state sign off saying that they will not prosecute the person because you probably want a big fish. So right here, organized crime or a gang, if you've got some big fish at the top, some elected official or something that's running a gang, a mafia crime ring, a human trafficking ring, and you've got a couple small fish that you want all the information so you can go up that chain, you're gonna have to get every DA in the state of Massachusetts to sign off saying, we're not gonna prosecute. Have them come in, tell them everything you know, everything they know, and give us the information because we're gonna keep going up this chain because we want this really big fish that's doing really bad stuff. Does everyone understand Kearney? Haven't had it here yet, knock on wood, hopefully never will, but it does exist. So how do we investigate? Well, it's pretty much the same as any criminal investigation. When you call and say that something's gone wrong, we are gonna wanna talk to you. We're gonna wanna talk to anybody that might be with you. I'm sure most of you have some sort of Ring doorbell camera or surveillance video on your house, something like that. Maybe your neighbors do. Is there video of the incident? Does anybody have any photos of the incident? Any type of documentation? Maybe you're complaining about a police officer that was an ex-boyfriend who took your credit cards and rang them all up. Do you have any documentation from that? Have you been to court 6 times? What's your paperwork from that? Can we see it? We're gonna be looking at the booking videos. We're going to be pulling reports. We're gonna be looking at any citations if this might be traffic related. The body worn cameras, they're newer to our department, like I said, but we've already had ample opportunity to be looking at them, and it's worked out pretty well. We're also gonna conduct an interview with the accused officer and any other officers present during the incident. So the same way any type of crime or wrongdoing would be investigated, and it's very unique to each situation. You know, there's not always gonna be video for every situation. There's not always gonna be 4 witnesses to a situation. So really it's unique, it's tailored to each complaint, but pretty much that's a rundown of what we're looking for to get done.
90%, 95% of the time, everything goes swimmingly, officer comes in, I'm here. There are those occasions where the officer comes in and he, in the union, and they're ready to fight, even though the really hasn't done anything he has to fight for. But the initial reaction is always, it's inbred in us to go, you want it, come get it. I'm not gonna give it to you easy because I'm right and you have no right to do this to me. And you see how it eventually deteriorates to the point where the administration says, knock it off, you're gonna do what we asked you to do because we have to ensure, this is the way I see it, maybe somebody sees it differently. The administration says we have to protect the public. We have to protect the agency, and in essence, if we allow the behavior to continue, then eventually the officer's gonna say, well, I got away with it this time, it must be okay. Does it again and again and again, and eventually works himself or herself right out of a job. Because we didn't say, we need to get this done, we need to make sure you're healthy, we need to make sure the problem is solved. So even though they wanna combat the problem, we don't wanna agree with us, it's all for the survival of the agency and the trust of the community, and so they don't work themselves into a hole that they can't get out of, and maybe even sometimes end up in jail. Sometimes they don't immediately embrace that because it's in our nature to go, I'm right. No, sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes we are wrong.
Yeah,
So-
self-reflection is
Yeah.
oftentimes difficult, but, and it's not nearly that dramatic. The lights don't flicker and the building cracks in half and whatnot, although it might crack in half at some point, but that's another PowerPoint, I'm sure. Administrative leave. Everyone hears about our officers being put on administrative leave. What does it mean? Sounds kind of terrifying, but administrative leave is depending on the nature of the allegation, okay? Police officers may be removed from their duties and placed on administrative leave depending on the seriousness of the allegation, okay? If it's, Officer Smith was rude to me during a traffic stop, we're probably not gonna take Officer Smith off the road for that. If it's Officer Smith was involved in a domestic violence incident, Officer Smith's coming off the road. He's gonna be put on administrative leave. With or without pay, this is always a big one. Some people get very, very upset that someone's getting paid on administrative leave. The chief will decide who gets administrative leave with pay or without pay. Usually, generally, how it has worked here is if someone is accused of a felony crime, they will be on admin leave without pay. And the mindset behind with pay and without pay is that if you take an officer off the road for some type of allegation and they're not getting paid, their family could be suffering because that's the income that they have for that family, and we wouldn't want to do that to someone. Possible suspension of a license to carry, again, it comes down to fitness for duty. If we're talking about, someone getting into trouble for something somewhat minor, we're probably not gonna suspend their license to carry. However, if the nature is serious or violent, if we're questioning the mental fitness of our officer, we're gonna suspend their license to carry too, okay? Yes?
If somebody is suspended without pay, say they're under investigation for a
Mhm.
felony, and relatively soon into the process, or as soon as that process takes, it's discovered that it's without merit, would that back pay be reinstated to them, or would they be just out of luck?
That would be up to the chief in the city,
Okay.
most likely. Yeah, most likely.
Officer-involved shootings are handled a little bit differently. That if you see it on TV, you'll see an officer involved in a shooting, he's immediately put on administrative leave with pay, immediately. And you might say, we just shot somebody, and of course, the media always says, we just killed somebody, we just murdered somebody. And unfortunately, they spin it in a way where you can't help, if you're on the outside, you can't help but think, oh, they went and killed somebody again. Why are they putting on administrative leave with pay? Please educate yourselves, please take time out, don't jump to conclusions by what the media feeds you, what the paper feeds you. Please refrain from passing judgment that quickly. When we put somebody on administrative leave with pay after an officer-involved shooting, it is probably the most stressful thing an officer can go through, or anybody for that matter, and you've all been through stressful things yourself, and you do feel like bouncing right back. We have to protect that officer, the agency, and the public. Go sit down, go home, go sit by the fire, go read a book. We have to make sure everything's okay upstairs. And years ago, and they did that with veterans, they did police officers. Yeah, you get in a problem, get back to work, suck it up and go back to work. We've learned over the years not the healthiest approach for a human being. To be expected to go right back on the line never really works out well. Fortunately, we realized that you have to give that officer some time, get him an appointment with a mental health clinician that's assigned to the Worcester Police Department. Everybody gives him a blessing, the investigation goes through, and it's a pretty involved investigation, but again, administrative leave is an automatic thing when an officer involved shooting, for the protection of that officer and everybody involved with it. Even other people involved with it might be placed on administrative leave as well. So.
We do have a very fast learning peer support group that has more recently, within the last few years, been initiated in the Worcester Police Department. They are learning and growing at a very rapid pace to help us out. We've had some tragedies more recently, and it came to light that we really needed a little extra. So the peer support group has been established, and they've been taking classes and networking, and it's been very, very helpful. So again, mental health and trying to take care of our officers, it's like Gandalf said, I'm here to help you. I'm just doing this to help you. You might not like it, you don't like the process, it seems very formal and stuffy, but we're here to help you. We're here to make sure everything is the way it should be. Just a quick recap, because like I said, I live in fast forward. I talk fast, I walk fast, I eat fast, everything's very fast. So quick recap, in case I did not say it the first time. We're going to get the complaint. It's going to be assigned by our captain to one of his staff. We're going to go gather evidence. We're going to be conducting interviews, whatever is pertinent to that unique particular case, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to report all the information that we have. We're going to report all the evidence we have. The Bureau of Professional Standards Commander, Captain Davenport, is going to review our report, ensure that it's complete, ensure that it's thorough. He loves the red pen. If there's something he thinks we missed or wants more of, he's gonna mark it up, you get it back, it's littered with red, and you're heading back out there, or once in a while I get a gold star.
I don't remember that.
Very happy, and I show it to everybody of how I didn't get red pen. Just want to say. The chief is gonna review it and provide a disposition, which is on the next slide, don't panic, and it's gonna be closed and a possible discipline implemented. What is a disposition? These are dispositions. We have resolved that intake or unfounded. Occasionally we get an anonymous complaint, it may be unfounded. We can't get enough information to assign the complaint to a specific officer. We can't get any more information. It could be unfounded. It could be resolved at intake. Someone somewhere might get a traffic citation and they are very upset about it. They want to call, they want to yell, they want to talk about it, and they'll say, I don't want, very typical what we hear, I don't want anybody fired, I just want him talked to. I didn't like his tone. Okay, I can do that. Is that all you want? Yes, I just want you to talk to him. Okay, we can do that. We can go talk to the officer, say, hey, Mrs. Smith called, she really didn't appreciate your tone, what happened there? Well, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, watch your tone for the next one. Everybody's happy, resolve the intake. Exonerated means that something happened, but it went the way it was supposed to go, okay? Not sustained, meaning, can you refresh my memory?
Something happened, and it was proper police procedure. However, there were mitigating circumstances, and it's kind of in between the whole exonerate and sustain thing. Not sustain mean not enough there to go ahead and find this person did something that was against our alternate policy. We don't make the decision in our office. We compile the evidence, compile the information.
That's an excellent point, is that we're not on anybody's side other than gathering facts. That's our goal. Our goal is to gather facts. If you have something to say, we want to hear it. If you have videos, evidence, whatever you want us to see, we want to see it, okay? That's our job. Our job is to compile all the things you're saying that you're presenting and compile them, okay? On the other side, we have the officer who says their side, presents their stuff. We take it, we gather it, put it in a comprehensive report, give it to the chief. Chief looks at it, says, okay, it looks like it's going this way, or it looks like it's going that way. This is what I think, and this is what we're gonna do.
Thank you.
Make sense?
It does.
Okay, so those little things, it's hard, we can talk about some things, but it does make it hard, because that tiny little change can affect the outcome of the end, the little butterfly effect, right? We have a policy failure. Sometimes we've got policies, it doesn't work out. Just doesn't work out, it failed the officer did something per policy, didn't work out. So we have that, and then exceptionally cleared, where maybe the person came up, was lying, had some sort of prior relationship with the officer and was using it as some type of revenge or whatnot. Exceptionally cleared, something didn't happen, we can't prove that anything at all happened at all, and other facts came out where the person has shown that they were maybe fibbing about things. Do those make sense to you? Okay. So possible disciplines. So we do have a procedural manual. It is progressive discipline. It starts off with a criticism. Criticism is, don't do that again. Kind of like the resolved at intake when the person says the guy was rude to me, I don't want to make a big deal of it, I just want to talk to. We have criticized him. Don't do that, people don't like it. Counseling session, which is a bit more formal, you're called in, sit down, let's talk about this, what's going on. An oral reprimand, written reprimand, this is, more serious than a counseling session, although an oral reprimand and a counseling session seem like the exact same thing. If you've been in for a counseling session before, the counseling session is, what's going on? Why has this happened? Do we need to talk about something? Is something going on? The oral reprimand is, we already brought you in here, stop doing this. You had your chance to tell us that there was something going on. Obviously, your behavior hasn't changed, so now we're reprimanding you. Stop doing that. A written reprimand, now we're writing it down because we're so mad. Suspension and termination, I think you know exactly what those are. People can be suspended for 3 days or 5 days. Occasionally, the idea is, why are we gonna pay people for not being here? So occasionally a suspension will turn into a 3 extra duty days or 5 extra duty days. So you're not getting your days off, you're gonna come in and work for free. So I just really appreciated Harvey Keitel and that look he was giving him as he walked out the door, because if looks could kill, he'd be dead. So occasionally that's what we run into, but my colleague Sergeant George is responsible for the early intervention system. Potentially problematic behavior, to developmental tool, we're basically flagging officers that might appear to be having issues because of certain incidents that they've been reporting. Try to improve their behavior, job performance. This is what it is. So, Sergeant George, if you want to give him a little rundown of how this.
This was implemented as part of our RMS system. It was implemented maybe about 8 years ago. And it's by no means out of MIT. It's simply that if police goes out on the road, and a prisoner, somebody's injured as a result of their interaction with her, whether it be prior to the interaction, during or after. If this happens, say 3 or more times in a 6-month period, it sends a trigger through the RMS system. Our office administrator gets it, compiles it, pulls up the other incidences that have to do with that, puts it on my desk. I put it in a format that all the chief, the deputies, and the captains can look at. Its goal is so no one's behavior slips through the cracks. Because again, human is human. And sometimes it doesn't kick you in the face, it isn't happening. What this does is it, Sergeant Miranda goes out there and we're getting 4 or 5 injured prisoners a month from her. We sit her down, chiefs go over it, what's the problem? They'll look through all the reports, say everything looks good, she's a busy officer, we're good here. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. A lot of people go to the hospital because of your interaction with them. Then we head into the administrative portion, investigation and things. But it's a good system because it watches the shop because we can't watch everything. And it'll automatically generate these incidents, and we can all sit down, everybody takes a look at it, all the bosses take a look at it, and sometimes somebody just needs a hand. Somebody just, yeah, I'm having a rough time, I got a few complaints under me, but I'm having a tough time. What's wrong? Things are going on at home. We're gonna solve that problem for you before it ends up being a bigger problem. Again, years ago, suck it up, get back on the road, you fail, that's on you. That's no way to do business, because everybody loses. You have to take care of the problem, make sure everybody's healthy. So,
Yeah.
that's, in short, that's it.
Yeah, and like you said, these are sort of the red flags that you wanna look for and make sure what's going on. Is our officer okay? Is there something going on at home? Is the person burned out? Have they seen too much? Have they done too much? It can wear on you after a certain amount of time, you know? It's not easy. Or did these incidents that occur, you know, were they something that legit occurred? You know, they just happened to run into 6 people that month that they had to go hands-on with. What exactly? Let's pick it apart and see what happened. So these are some of the triggers, and then we also have these triggers. So these are a little bit more objective, not subjective, objective. It's 3 or more, 5 or more, 5 or more, okay, in a certain month period, okay? So this will get flagged, and Sergeant George will compile all the data, go up and say, I think we may have a problem here. Let's initiate an investigation and see what's going on. Any questions?
Just curious, so whenever there's a trigger using this early intervention system, is there always a report that's generated?
Yes, the report comes in a form of interdepartmental correspondence. It's a form that's used throughout the building. I make that form up, I add the other incidents to it that are pertinent. That form goes along with the arrest reports, the booking reports if necessary, all the information that commander and that deputy needs to make an informed decision. Is this, and he wouldn't be alone when he makes this decision, but it's everything he needs. The reports from 3 months ago up to the most current one. It's all there.
And
they
it's
sit there.
called an EIS report, or?
It's the whole EIS system. It's called the trigger, EIS trigger. So that report itself is within a folder with everything he's done that caused this to come to the surface. And they have everything they need to make their decision, so.
Okay. Okay, this goes back up to the question of, do we put things out for you to see what's going on? Public records requests, this is a big one. Nobody knows about public records requests or how to make them. Gonna tell you that right here and now. So, public records request. The records access officer is an employee of the governmental records custodian. The custodian is any place where the records are kept. That's what the custodian is. I know it reads a little weird, but that's what they mean. This is taken directly from their website, which I'm also going to show you a little later on. The records access officer is the employee designated within the governmental entity to perform certain duties, including coordinating a response to requests for access to public records, assisting individuals seeking public records, identifying the records requested, preparing guidelines that enable requesters to make informed requests regarding the availability of such public records electronically or otherwise. It's a mouthful. That's directly from their website. And I put their language in specifically. I didn't skinny it down or whatnot because it is a lot, and the very first line is, there are no strict rules that govern the manner in which requests for public information should be made. They can be made in person or in writing, online. They have to provide information on the website with respect to requests for public records. Fear not, I'm gonna show you where that is also. And the person seeking access to government records must obtain them from the government office that created or received the records. So in other words, here at the Worcester Police Department, we keep Worcester Police Department records. We don't keep anyone else's records. Make sense? Yes, because that would be a whole lot of storage area for that stuff. We keep Worcester Police records. If it's something pertaining to the Worcester Police Department, come here, make your public records request. We probably have it. Okay? There are some laws, I did not cut and paste the statutes that go with public records. Full disclosure, I do not work in the division that does public records. If you say, can I get this public record, what happens here? I don't know. I'm going to give you a link to the website so you can check it out anytime you want, see if you are privy to certain public records. I will tell you that if you call my office and you go onto the website and perhaps the officer gave you your incident number, your report number as 12345. And you said, well, I tried, but it wasn't there, so he didn't do a report. And I say, oh, okay. I look into it, I say, oh, you know, it was 12354. There's a digit missing. You can try it again and say, look, I've tried it 6 times, I just can't get this to work. Well, I have an account for public records. I'm gonna put your information in and I'm gonna ask them to send it to you via snail mail, okay? What you will get in the mail, or a digital copy if you're able to do it yourself, is a redacted copy of the paperwork you're looking for. Some items are heavily redacted. Some items are not really redacted at all. It depends on what information you're seeking and who you are. Does that make sense? Okay. There is also an appeals process if you get told, no, you can't have that. There's an appeals process, also listed on their website. Every requester is treated equally, so that's why I don't have a problem on my account saying, I'm Elise Miranda, and I'm going to request a record for you and have it sent to you, because we're the same. People don't say, oh, that's the Elise Miranda working upstairs, we'll send her everything. They're like, no, we're gonna redact everything the same we would for anybody. So I can put a request in under my account, and they'll send you or me the exact same thing. I'm not gonna get anything special when I make a public records request. I work here, and if I need a report, I'm gonna get it because I'm doing an investigation. But if I make a public records request, if I use that portal to get something for someone, if I'm assisting you, I'm gonna get the redacted version too. Make sense? You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Again, there are several statutes, regulations, rules on their website that are put out by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's what we're gonna go by. There are some exemptions, meaning that you may be denied based on one of those statutes or laws. Don't worry, we'll let you know why we're not giving it to you. And there is a nice detailed 84-page PDF. This is the website. It is in yellow. I thought I changed that to dark blue, but feel free to, it's actually on the last slide too, and I think it's in black, so it should be a little more visible for you. But if you want to download that 84-page PDF, by all means, can't hurt, might help. If you want to make a public records request, you're going to go to the City of Worcester website. I don't know if you remember this from earlier, but we are worcesterma.gov. We're going right back to the same website, City of Worcester. It's lovely. It slides. It's different pictures every time you go on it. You're going back up to departments right there. Circled it for you. I wrote it at the bottom too. Click on departments. Click on police. You're coming back to us. And public records, see, it's right next to professional standards. I told you to remember that later. Click there. Click on public records request. This is the little rectangle to make a public records request, and this is who runs the law department, in case you have any questions. Submit a records request to the police department. Notice, nope, it's not on this page. Right here. So public records is a little different than your police report. If you were in a car accident, if you had your house broken into, if you were the victim of a crime, you're going to police reports, okay? That's a little different. But in answer to your question, you want to know what happened with some sort of investigation or body worn camera or something, you're going to make a public records request. So it's a little piece of your question about where do we get that information. That's a little piece. You can make a public records request for anything and everything. Whether you get it or not, I don't know. It's going to depend on what you're entering into the website. And again, I'm not gonna pretend I know all the statutes that come with that and why you will get it and why you won't get it, but this is where you're gonna ask for it. So back to public records, you're gonna click on that. You can interact anonymously, as you see at the bottom, or you can create an account, whichever you prefer. And that's gonna take you to another screen where you're gonna start entering all your information. Make sense? Okay. Now post. Here's second part of the, do you let everybody know what's going on? We have a post commission, Police Officer Standards and Training Commission, and the Bureau of Professional Standards is committed to the standards set forth by post. Post is notified of any complaint. Any complaint. And they're given any documentation requested. They will call and say, we want all the documentation you have for case number 25. We say, okay, how do you want us to get that to you? And they usually provide a cloud link, and we get that to them. So they ask for it, they get it. This is a couple blurbs from the Post Commission. Again, I do have their website linked. They are carved out of 555 CMR. And these are some of the little snippets that I thought were relevant to the informational process that we are looking to give to you tonight. Within 2 days of the receipt of the complaint, an incredible report. Now, we have gotten complaints and we start investigating it, and we might find a lot of discrepancies. We don't know which officer they're talking about. We don't know the extent to something that happened. There could be some issue that we find that within 2 days we still don't know. Sometimes someone will tell us the wrong officer. We're trying to figure out what's going on in order to get the situation assigned to someone, basically. Like, okay, it's this officer that they're talking about, and we want to notify post. We don't want to notify them of the wrong information, although we have done that, and basically we just re-notify them saying, oops, it's actually not that guy, it's this guy, so disregard that last one. But again, it's within 2 days to give them the receipt of the complaint. They are not really interested in the minor things, so if you look at the first red dot paragraph, minor matters, discourtesy, basic rule violations, something that does not involve a bias of race, ethnicity, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, religion, mental or physical disability, immigration status, socioeconomic or professional level, excessive, prohibited, or deadly force, or an action which resulted in serious bodily injury. If it does not have any of that in it, Post will refer the complaint for resolution under the agency's internal resolution policy. The agency shall maintain any documentation and make any such complaint available to the commission upon request or under any policy that may be established by the commission. What is that saying? If it doesn't involve any of this stuff, they want us to handle it. This is yours, you take it, you investigate it, keep all your records because we might ask for it, or we might come out with a policy later that says you gotta send it to us anyway. That's all they're saying right there. So for anything that doesn't involve that, they want us to do what we do and conduct the investigation. If it does not relate to the minor matters, they want all this stuff. They want everything listed here, you know, name and commission certification. We all have certification numbers now, which are available on their website. All the details, everything that happened, what the allegation was, okay? And again, was unprofessional because of this stuff, not just, well, I didn't like his tone. We're gonna handle that. I didn't like, he was unprofessional because I'm whatever is in here, Post wants it. They want all that. This is their website, again in yellow, I apologize, I'm not sure what happened. They are carved into the Code of Massachusetts Regulations, CMRs, that's what CMR stands for, 555, 1 through 11 in Massachusetts general law. So there's an entire body of laws that governs them. It's not nearly as extensive as the public records laws, which I think is kind of strange, but they're pretty clear. It's if you go on that website, you're gonna understand exactly what they're talking about. The language is very plain. So that's a nice tool for you as well. And as far as Post getting reports of everything, we are reporting everything to Post, which is part 2 of answering the question of, do you let everybody know what's going on? To some degree, you can make public records requests to find out the end result of investigations. And as far as Post goes, if they've decided someone shouldn't be a police officer anymore, they're not gonna be a police officer anymore. They've been decommissioned, decertified, and that goes with that person to any other department they may try to work for. And I believe it extends to security and other types, of peripheral type law enforcement jobs. So if you couldn't make it as a police officer, you're probably not gonna get a job as a security guard or, a paramedic or something where the public is trusting you with something. Does that make sense? And again, it's all laid out on their website. I don't wanna pretend I'm a Post expert. I send them information that they ask for. So I don't know all of their laws, but does anybody have any questions? Okay. Body-worn camera policy. Body-worn cameras are new. I figured this would be a good opportunity to give you a little bit of information about our policy and how it applies to our citizens, okay? What happens when you have a call and an officer comes up and they get a big, giant, camera that's blinking red and like, hey, how you doing today? What's going on? It can be, a little, concerning. Everybody's being recorded now. Our policy was implemented on February 15th, 2023, so it's still a baby right now. These are some of the important things that I thought were relevant to the body-worn cameras that, again, as civilians, citizens, you might want to know. That these are the circumstances that an officer should be activating, shall activate, I should say, the recording functions as soon as practicable. As you see at the bottom, officers will not compromise their safety or the safety of others to obtain body-worn camera recordings when activation is not tactically feasible. We could probably come up with a million scenarios where it is tactical and a million where it might not be. It would all be very unique to the situation. Any 911 emergency calls, we're activating. Non-emergent calls for service, so you walk out in the morning, your car got hit in the middle of the night, you need to make a report, they should be activating their body-worn cameras for that too. Any type of police-initiated investigation or stop, if they have pulled you over, those cameras should be rolling. If you kind of look like someone they were looking for earlier, they should be starting their camera. Or when ordered by a supervisor, insert reason here. I don't know, but if someone has a reason for it. They are not required to record normal, casual conversations or encounters that do not correspond with any of the previous situations. So if you're walking down the street and you're like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you like this brand of water? Yeah, I do too. There's no reason for us to activate that. Okay, so you can walk up, chit chat with an officer, we don't have to activate it. Okay? We'll keep going with the basic info. I have like 4 slides on basic information, but some of our legal professionals, when we're talking about consent or a warrant or exigent circumstances, you guys are gonna be hearing a lot about that because you're in the police academy and that's what we run on. When we're talking about a body-worn camera and we're talking about a consent search, not a search where we have gone to court, written out an affidavit and gotten permission to search. We're showing up with a piece of paper, hello, we have a search warrant to search your house, we're gonna search your house now. This is a consent. This could be, someone says, no, this person isn't here, oh, you sure? Hey, yeah, you can come in and look. You can come in and look if you want, I don't care, come on in. That's a consent search. We like body worn cameras for consent searches, so we really want that to be on. Now, search warrants issued from a judge, if we have a search warrant from a judge, we're not mandating the body worn camera. So we've had plenty of BWC reviews up in the BOP's office where the search warrant is a document, it was signed by a judge, okay, this is a warrant. They've gone in and they record everything up until they start searching. That we're not doing the body worn cameras for unless there's some sort of, it's not mandated. If there's some sort of issue they wanna keep rolling, go ahead, but it's not mandated. A consent search, that's different, right? Does everybody understand that? That's different. That's not a judge saying, yeah, go in and look. That's us being like, hey, you mind if we take a peek? And you saying, yes, yeah, come on in, come take a peek. Different. The entirety of that search shall be recorded. And anytime an officer is dispatched to a residence for a call for service, the officer is permitted to lawfully record while inside. See the line thing? Body worn camera officer may not discontinue the recording unless he or she obtains permission from a supervisor. There could be a reason why we want to stop recording, and we should run it by a supervisor. We should make sure it's okay to stop recording, because we got here to this 911 call and this lady really wants to talk to me, but she doesn't want to talk to me with my camera rolling. Can I turn this off? Yes or no? Depends. It's gonna depend. I don't know. What's the situation? Okay? So again, you're gonna get that a lot being here in the police academy. It depends. It depends. If the circumstances change, things start to die down, officers will be permitted to, if they do deactivate the body worn camera, officers can turn it back on if circumstances start to change. Hey, I'm a victim, and I really don't feel comfortable talking to you with your body worn, I keep picking on you. I really don't feel comfortable talking to you with your body worn camera on. Can you turn that off? Yeah, no problem, I'll turn it off. Beep, you turn it off, and then I'm like, if you come near me again, I'm gonna go, oh, beep, I'm putting that back on because you got a little funky now and I don't know what's happening, so I'm turning this right back on, okay? And I don't need to tell you I'm turning it back on. It's going back on, okay? Shall record when entering under exigent circumstances. You're gonna hear that a lot. Warrant, consent, exigent circumstances. How do you get into someone's home? With a warrant, with consent, with exigent circumstances. If it's an exigent circumstance, your camera should be on. Okay? Make sense? Exigent is an emergency. Stuff's happening. Stuff's going down fast. It's an emergency. We're gonna keep continuing. I have like 4 slides on this. You're not required to notify citizens that they are being recorded, but it is recommended that they do so during the interaction. It's nice to let people know, hey, you're being recorded, hey, you're being recorded, hey, you're being recorded. Do you have to? No. It's not a foul if you don't walk up and immediately say, hey, you're being recorded. It's just nice to let people know that's what's going on. They're not required to obtain consent to record. If I'm at your home, because again, we'll go right back to the stereotypical domestic, and they're like, get out of my house and you can't record here. Nope, we're gonna keep recording. We can be here, we're gonna stay here, and we're gonna record, which is probably gonna put some folks in a foul mood at some point, but it is what it is, and that's what we're gonna do. Sorry. If a civilian has requested, they have no obligation to stop the recording. I did put this in, I looked back at it later, like section 2, subsection B. That was all the stuff that was listed 1 through 5 on the other side. So the 911 calls, the exigent circumstances, any patrol initiated stuff, that's what section 2, subsection B is of our policy. Victim or witness. We're a little different here. Victim or witness that is in any way unsure of the need for the recording to be made, uncomfortable, we're again gonna talk to a supervisor and say, hi, I've got a victim here. I've got a victim or I've got a witness with a lot of information and they really don't want my body camera going, can I turn this off? If we have a victim or witness that is not also a suspect, right? Because again, if we go right back to that stereotypical domestic violence, we're gonna have the he said, she said, who's the victim? Is everybody the victim? I don't know. Maybe someone's a suspect here. What happened? I haven't sorted it out yet. Okay? So there are times when a victim or witness could also maybe be a potential suspect. Depends, okay? But again, if we have someone that we are pretty sure is a victim witness, and they're like, I have a lot to tell you, but I don't wanna talk with that going, we're gonna probably ask permission, hey, I got this serious thing going on here, this person wants to talk, can I turn this off? Okay? Just keep in mind, these are gonna go to court. They're gonna go to court. So, if there is a circumstance that's going on and someone will talk with the camera, when you have the tone, the body language, when people can see what has happened with, pretty much just short of being there, right? That's going to be very powerful, because these go to court and people can see what is transpiring and in the nature in which someone's spoken to you, okay? So, you know yourself, when you're talking in person to someone, it's a lot different than if I'm sending a text, right? I send you a text like, what does she need? Is she mad? I don't even know if she's mad. Why are we doing this? And I'm like, oh my God, is everything okay? They're not seeing how I'm reacting, what my body language is, what my tone is. It's very different when you're in that moment. So if we can get someone to be comfortable talking to us, we're really gonna try, because again, once it goes to court, that's difficult to recreate. It's difficult to type out a police report to recreate that raw emotion, the things that are happening at the time, so that a jury can really understand, wow, oof, that was intense, The written word is very different than seeing it. So just as an aside, something to think about as you go about your evening. We're almost done, I promise. Prior to preparing reports, officers can review their body-worn camera unless, except, as you see in big letters, any levels 4 or 5 of the use of force model, which is policy 400, you are going to be getting into defensive tactics and what those levels are, so I will spare you that now because it will be boring if we go over it, and I'm not a subject matter expert in that, other than knowing the basics of what level 4 and 5 are. With levels 4 and 5, those are the top uses of force, I can tell you that. That's when you're using your firearm. That's some taser use, not all. Taser can be level 3 or level 4, depending on the situation. There's that word again, depending. But for levels 4 and 5, no one's looking at the recording before reports. Make sense? Okay. And there are things that need to be written in the report that the officer is preparing. They have to write their report prior to viewing their body-worn camera footage. Once they've written their report, they may view their body-worn camera footage, and then they are required to put in which facts are recalled independently of the recording. They have to note this. They have to delineate the difference. What did I recall before I watched my body-worn camera? What did I recall that was refreshed when I saw it on film? And facts that were not previously known, but that are learned by viewing the recording. When you are talking, if anybody does any type of photography in here, you have your 50 millimeter, that's what the human eye can see, right? Sometimes there's peripheral, sometimes there's far back in the corner, sometimes there's over there, right? We're not taking it all in. I can't stand here and look at the entire room, okay? When you're getting the body-worn camera, it's capturing things that you never saw, never noticed, additional things. That's something that needs to be noted, okay? So once they view that footage, they have to note that, okay? Does that make sense to everyone? Before, after, and new stuff that I had no idea even happened, okay?
Can they edit the videos?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Videos cannot be edited, and there's a very, oh my gosh, you should see the, what's it called?
Audit trail?
Audit trail. So when we view the body-worn cameras, anytime we pause it, fast forward it, rewind it, it's like boop, 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 boop. When you print this out, it's like 6 pages, and I've viewed a 3-minute video. It's insane. It captures like every mouse move, for Pete's sakes. It's very, very detailed. So no one wants to look at them. No one wants to look at them or have their name attached to them unless they absolutely have to. I'm a different cat, I couldn't care less. I'm like, show me everything, let me see it. I'll watch it 6 times, I don't care. So if we're talking about a shooting or a deadly force incident, this is our policy. Any involved officers and their supervisors shall not view it. So if they're typing their reports or whatever they're doing, they're not gonna review it prior to the designated detective bureau supervisor viewing the footage and uploading it into the system. Okay, so that's just a little special extra for any type of officer involved shooting or another deadly use of force. If someone dies, no one's looking at that until the detectives start working on it. Exigent circumstances, though. If we have exigent circumstances, and this example is put into our policy, but insert any exigent scenario you could think of that might work for it. If one of our officers was rendered incapacitated, and this situation had, say there's someone that is now dead and our officer's now been incapacitated, but there's someone else running around, we're probably gonna look at that. We're probably gonna be like, what happened, how did this go about, and we wanna see what's on that footage, okay? So that's gonna be an exception to the rule here, and we're gonna look at that. Again, in yellow, but these are where all of our policies are. They're made available to you right here. So go on that website, click on them, read them all, okay? Have at it, they're right there for you. And then this is all the websites, again in yellow. I apologize profusely. I hope you can see it. Can you see it in the back? If not, I'm just gonna leave it up, come up and take a picture with your cell phones, nice and close so that you get them. I had turned them black ink, I apologize, this is not working. But here they are, come on up and look at them. WorcesterMA.gov, that's your website. Tons of information on there, get on there, click buttons, fish around on it, they put a lot of good information on there. Mass.gov, there's your post commission. Worcester MA, click on police, that tab again. Get to our policy and procedures, and then this is the PDF, the 84 7-page PDF of the public records statutes and rules and whatnot. I know it's a lot of information. I hope it helped you. I hope it cleared up some stuff for you, at least where you can go to get information that you're seeking. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And good luck with your academy. Glad to have all of you here. So.